or if I sound horrible, I am very truly sorry. Allergies are killing me. Up and down weather. Finally was able to like clear my sinuses, but I'm like sniffling, so apologies ahead time. Hey guys, FunnyGuyTimmy here. Wanted to answer a question. I actually recorded this video about like a week and a half ago, but it was incredibly long-winded, even though the question was relatively simple. So I decided to go back and re-record. Also, I did a project that best explained what I meant in some of the video from before. So the question was, it was presented to me on one of my other videos. It was someone who was asking about breathing and whether or not they should edit the breaths out of their voiceover. And this is though it's not really a complicated question, it is nuanced. And what I mean by that is it depends on the project. It depends on what the voiceover is being used for. Like, for example, if it's a commercial, it's probably a good idea to edit out as many of the breaths as possible that are in the pauses between words. Now, if they're in the middle of the sentence, if they're in the middle, like, if it's in the sentence and it's in between words, pretty much leave it in, unless it's like some huge breath, and then in that case, go back and re-record it. If it's in between the sentences, like in the pauses, edit it out. Now, the reason I don't want to say just completely edit out all of the breaths is because breathing is natural. It's something that we naturally do. It's so weird that so many starting out voiceover artists or voice actors think that they're supposed to not breathe. And I was a victim of that kind of thought when I first started out. I tried editing out every single breath. But the first mistake I was making was taking a huge breath and then trying to get through the entire sentence or as far as I could without breathing, and then taking another breath and then doing that. Now, what happens when you do that, and again, this is incredibly common, is you will start out really high with a lot of energy, and then as you go on, your read will start losing energy and stop having the volume and the clarity. And then you'll get to a point where you have to go, because you have to breathe. Breathe when you need to breathe. If you need to breathe, breathe. It's really that simple. Don't think too much about it. Just say the line how you would actually say it, how you naturally read the script, and wherever you feel like breathing, breathe. Now, sometimes there are awkward breaths that you could make. Like if it's in the middle of a long word and you breathe in the middle of the word itself, yeah, re-record that. If it's a short sentence and you breathe in the middle of the short sentence for some weird reason, like, hey, how's it going? And you had to breathe like, hey, how's it going? Like you had to do that. That's odd. That's really awkward. So don't do that. Most of the time it's just take a big relaxed breath, go as far as you can naturally through the script, and then, keep going. But when it comes to character work, because again, her comment wasn't really clear as far as what it was for, so I thought I'd cover all the bases. As far as character work, I leave in all the breaths, except for the prep breaths. Prep breaths you need to get rid of. Prep breaths are the big breaths that you take before starting actually reading the line. Like, and then you start going through the script, and then you start, saying all the words. So that big breath, get rid of that. But the rest of them, in the middle of the dialogue, leave those in, especially when it comes to character work. Don't decrease the volume of them. Don't do any of that. Leave them in as is. Because when it comes to character work, when it comes to the actual acting, the breaths are just as important as the dialogue. It's part of the acting. It's part of the character. Especially when you're angry or you're scared. There's a lot of very specific kinds of breaths that you would make there's a very specific way that you breathe when you're, portraying different emotions. Leave those in. They help carry the performance. So what I'm going to do now is we're actually going to go over a part of a project that I'm working on. I didn't sign any non-disclosure agreement with them, and it doesn't really give away anything. It's like very early on in the project. I'm not going to say what it's for. It's very early on, and it doesn't really give away anything. So I thought it would be totally fine. So this is going to be a prime example of breathing in your dialogue and leaving it in. So I want you all to pay very close attention and listen for the breaths.
Oh, hi. Gosh, you shouldn't be here. I can't believe this. This isn't right. I can't stay here anymore. You have to help me get out of this place. Listen, this is not a safe place to be. There are creatures here. I've seen them hurt others just like you. But I have something that will keep you safe. Ah, crap! Did you hear that? They're coming. But I still have more things to show you.
So, there was a lot of little breaths in there, and I was trying not to breathe too loud while you were listening to that. I didn't want to throw any extra breaths in there. But yeah, when you're angry, there's lots of really huffs and big breaths, and when you're scared, you're trying to you have to breathe, and the breaths kind of break up your words. When you're sad, there's a hyperventilating. When you're super happy, there might be gigantic kind of like a relieving weight off your chest kind of breath. So when it comes to character work, leave the breaths in. Leave them in. Just cut out the prep breaths, the big breaths that you would take just before actually recording the dialogue that don't actually belong in there. Other than that, send that to the client with all the breaths in there. Don't change the volume to them. Don't cut them out. They're part of your performance. If they want to cut them out afterwards, they're totally fine to do that. There are a few situations when I would cut out breaths, and I think I have. I think there was one time I was doing like a computer voice or a robot voice, and obviously the robot didn't have lungs, so I actually cut out all the breaths. And I basically had all the words spaced evenly apart. And it was more or less what the client was wanting. They kind of just wanted to just take the file and put it in the game as is, so it was kind of on my shoulders to edit the audio the way they wanted, and they were going to add an effect. So I let them know, and they were like, yeah, cool. So that's what I did. So that's the one situation I would say you can actually cut out the breaths, because cutting out the breath in that kind of situation actually added to the performance. It actually helped carry the character, the fact that the character is a robot, the character is unnatural, the character doesn't have lungs. So taking out breaths actually added to the performance. Does that make sense? But again, when it comes to commercial work, if the breath is too loud, you can cut it out. But if it's really, really close to the words and it's very subtle, like most of my conversation has been, seriously, go back and listen to a lot of this right here, and then just listen to how many times I breathe in a single sentence, how many times I breathe, just naturally in between, a sentence. It's actually incredibly normal. It's incredibly natural. Even if you don't hear it, we're so used to it, we don't pick it up most of the time. So, it's there. We just don't think that it's there. We just don't think about it. So anyway, I hope this answered the question. If you guys like to ask any other questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Go check out some of my other videos. And if you'd like to see me do any different kind of videos, leave those down in the comment section below. And until next time, peace.